So Mick and I are going to start by doing a little bit of foam rolling on our plantar fascia, and we're going to be focusing on 5 different lines. We're going to be focusing on the 5 lines essentially from your toe all the way down to the heel. Now, I don't necessarily want to go over the heel, but you can if you want to, okay? The fascia connects over the back of your heel and does feed up into your Achilles tendon. So if you do want to hit the back of the heel, that's totally cool. But for this drill, I just want you to be focusing on those 5 lines, okay? So we're going to step on the ball, and we're literally just going to move up and down from the base of that knuckle of the toe down to the heel. And we're just going to move up and down. Hit 5 different angles. Think about those 5 lines, 1 from each toe, going down to the heel. And this shouldn't be necessarily painful. I'd say like a 4 out of 10 in pain maximum, because if you're finding that you're jumping off of it, your body's trying to protect itself from the pain sensation that it's getting. So it should be more massaging, it should be more soothing, as opposed to you trying to just blast through it, okay? Now if you're prone to getting foot cramps, if you're prone to, your foot locking up, or if you get soreness in the bottom of your feet when you're doing jiu-jitsu, this is an excellent drill to just help get the fascia a bit down-regulated in terms of the neurological tension that it's been fed. So we're just basically relaxing the bottom of the foot, getting it pliable, and this is going to help feed us into some of the toe drills and some of the ankle drills that we do before this. Now, foam rolling, you don't need to be doing loads of it, okay? You could spend, I think there's a few studies that suggest that you could be foam rolling for about 10 seconds and have very, very similar effects to foam rolling at about 30, 40 seconds, okay? So you don't need to be doing loads of it, just hit the different angles along those 5 lines, and then once you've done that, obviously do the other foot as well. When you've done that, when you've done along those 5 lines, we can then start moving from side to side. Okay, and at this moment, we're just working on global movement, so we're just trying to create as much movement as we can, trying to cover as much of the area of the foot as we can. But then when you find, I like to call these sweet spots. So when you find a sweet spot, somewhere that's where the body's anchoring a lot of tension, you'll find that it's a little bit sensitive. And when you get that point, it's really important, just hold it. Allow the muscle, allow the fascia to just relax over the ball. And then you can just oscillate back and forth just to soothe it out. So the next part of the foam rolling that we're going to do is going to be focusing much more around the ankle joint. We're going to be hitting up 3 different areas. We're going to be hitting the inside of the ankle here, so just on that lower part. You feel that if you can have a look at your own foot and feel that bone on the inside, we're going to be just up and then slightly behind it, okay? We're going to be hitting up the Achilles tendon and then just on the side above that other bony bit of your foot there. Okay, so we're going to be working just above that. So I'm going to get Mick doing it. Now, when you're doing this, your objective is not pain. Pain is, I don't want you to be jumping off of the foam roller. About a 4 out of 10 in pain maximum, but anything more than that, your body's going to try and protect itself, and your body's going to create more tension, okay? And you're not going to get the relaxing, the soothing effect that we're trying to create with these foam rollers. So Mick, if I can get you to just sit down, and if I get you to grab that blue foam roller, and we're just going to start off with just having 1 foot on there and lifting the knee up and down, okay? Just a little bit of downward pressure into the foam roller, and then we can just start hitting up different angles. So just turn the foot out, just turn the knee out very, very slightly, and just start to massage, foam roll different parts of that Achilles tendon. If you're finding that that's not enough for you, then you can double up, lift your hips up off the floor and really press into it. Now again, the objective is not pain, okay? The objective is to relax to down-regulate the neurological tension that the fascia and the muscles are holding. So we're trying to relax the muscle, we're trying to get them more pliable so that we can do other drills and we can do more flexibility training after, okay? So just reducing the tension that it's holding so that we can access deeper ranges of motion later. So we're just rolling from the top of this heel bone to about 3 or 4 inches above it. We're just hitting up that. And if you want to, if you find that if you're not getting the good pressure there, you might want to just lean forward, press this foot down into the ankle, really lean your body forward and press this leg down, and that can just help you increase the pressure that you can get onto the foam roller. So there's our Achilles tendon. That's super important to get moving. really, really important in Jiu-Jitsu to get that pliable, because it's getting attacked the whole time. It's under a lot of stress the whole time. You know, when we're kind of shooting for pickups or whatever it is, to be able to have that pliable is really important. If we've got good ankle mobility, it takes the stress out of the knee a lot. Okay, so the ability for us to get this really, really good dorsiflexion is really going to save our knee joint. Okay, so getting these pliable and then doing some deep stretching on them later is going to be absolutely crucial to making sure that you've got good ankle health. The next area Mick and I are going to work on is the lateral aspect of the ankle. Okay, so if you just on your own foot find the bony part that sticks out on the side of it, we're going to be working just above that. So we're going to get on the foam roller, and I like to use the top leg as a base of support. Okay, you don't want this to be too painful. It can be a very sensitive area, especially because we're getting foot locked the whole time. The muscles like to hold on to make sure that your foot is protected. It can be a little bit sensitive in that. Okay, like I said, nothing above 4 out of 10 in pain. If you're jumping off of it, you're doing the opposite. Okay, of the objective that we're trying to get of just relaxing the muscle. Okay, we're relaxing it. We're then going to do some joint mobilization work after this. So we're just trying to down regulate some of the tension that it's holding. So we're going to jump up on the foam roller and use this to gauge the pressure, okay? And we're just going to glide in and out of it, working on that bottom part, okay? You can glide up a little bit further, but we're going to be working on the upper part of the leg, more around the knee joint in when we get to the hip and knee section, or when we get into the hip and knee series. But for now, I just want to work on that lateral aspect of just above that lateral malleolus. So Mick, I'm going to get you to do that. So Mick's going to use this leg and he's going to base it on this side of his body, and that is just a nice angle for you to be able to control the movement. So Mick's going to straighten up his leg, and I'm just going to move the foam roller just a little bit down, and he's just going to move up and down. So just like kind of like a flossing technique. He's just going to floss back and forth. Okay, and you might find that it takes a few seconds for the tension in the muscle to start to give way, and you may not even feel like that there is any pain. Now, pain is a good indicator that there's something that needs to be worked on there. It's a good indicator that there's tension there that needs to be down regulated. But like I said, pain isn't the objective. Pain is just an indicator just an indicator to our body. So you might say that you might feel that it takes a few seconds to get into it, and then after 20 seconds you might feel, okay, this is starting to hurt a little bit. And if it is, cool, just work on it for another 10, 15 seconds, but then relax. So Mick's just at the moment. He's just going to be doing about 20 seconds of it, and then he's going to have a break, and then we're going to come back to it. Okay. Now, one thing that I want you to notice is, when Mick was doing that, his lower foot, this bottom part of the foot, started to cramp up. Okay. It's important to keep this bit relaxed. Okay. Keep the whole body relaxed. This whole leg, I want you to keep it dead. Don't anchor tension into here to make up for the pain in here. If you're finding that this is too sensitive and you're holding tension in the bottom of the foot, or you're holding tension in the hamstrings, or whatever it is, it's too much. Okay? Use it as an exercise to relax the body, not as an exercise to bash the body. The last bit of the ankle complex that I want to work on is the medial aspect. So on your foot, I want you to find the bone that sticks out on the side. Mick, you do that with me as well. And we're just going to be working it. Now, as you move, if you put your thumbs on that bone and then slide up it, it feeds into your tibia. Okay? Now we're going to work just behind that. So we're just going just behind that shin bone. So your shin bone, of course, isn't just accessible on the front, it's also accessible on the side as well. And we're working just behind that. So if you find that bone there, slide up, you'll find you can feel your tibia. Okay, we're going to work just behind that. We're going to be working in that part there. Now, it might pull on the hairs a little bit, so you might want to use a little bit of oil on your thumbs or whatever it is, just for the sake of no friction. We're just going to move down the inside there, and again, because we're getting foot locked the whole time, there's a lot of pressure on our ankles to be able to stay healthy, and there's a lot of pressure on our ankles to not fall apart when we're getting foot locked. The muscles like to hold tension, so this is just a real nice soothing exercise to prime the ankles for jiu-jitsu. So just move up and down it, and when you found a little spot that you want to work on, just hold it, and then just move your thumbs around in circles, both directions. Move it up and down, and then move on to another spot. Okay, I don't want you to hammer them, don't spend 2 minutes on it, just 30 seconds. Remember, we're just warming up before jiu-jitsu. give ourselves a deep massage. That's not the objective. We're just trying to warm our body up, make sure that the ankle can move freely. And when there's tension around the ankle, it's very difficult for that to happen. It's very difficult for our ankle to be able to go through full articulation. So you're just down regulating some of the tension that it's holding in there. So we've been doing a lot of work around the soft tissue with the foam rolling, just down regulating some of the tension that the muscles around the ankle complex are holding. Now we're just going to work on the joints specifically. So Mick and I are just going to sit down and really easy. This is a really easy drill. I just want you to grab your toes individually and just articulate them, okay? So just move them around in circles, take them through full extension, take them through full flexion. So we're just working on a little bit of passive stretching. We're just going to move our toes from side to side. Again, make circles with them. Then do exactly the same with all 5 of your toes, okay? Just make sure that everything's moving around nicely. Good. That's all I want you to do. Then grab all of them and just move them around again. And especially if your feet are cold, this is a nice way to warm them up. I find that when I'm doing jiu-jitsu, if I'm in, especially in winter, when it takes a little bit longer to warm up, when my toes are cold, that's when I get them injured. Okay, so just getting them pliable, just heating them up this way is an excellent way of doing that, I find. So we're just making little circles, taking them through full extension, through full flexion, taking them through the full range of motion capacity. So we're just going to work on some joint articulations of the toes to begin with, and all I want you to do, lift your toes up and spread them apart. Okay, that's all I want you to do to start off with. Relax the foot, lift the toes and spread. Relax, lift the toes and spread. Okay, your toes' ability to be reactive is really important in jiu-jitsu. We're on our feet the whole time. We don't have the luxury of having a stable shoe. Okay, we're on our feet, so our feet have to be able to be responsive. So we're just working on getting them fired up, getting them working, and we're just going to lift, open up the toes, relax and back down. Lift, open up and back down. Okay, lift, open up, back down. Also, it's excellent for training the arches, being able to lift the toes. Okay, often you can find that in jiu-jitsu, especially if your hips are locked up or your core isn't doing the job that it needs to, it's really easy to get this internal rotation of the tibia, which can force that pronation of the ankle, okay? That pronation of the foot and that flat-footed position. So this is just an excellent way to just prime the foot and get things working, okay? So we're just going to lift the toes, spread them, and then relax, and just do that a few times. I now want to take the toes through their full extension range of motion and their full flexion range of motion, okay? So we're just going to work this passively, and all I want you to do is get right up onto your tiptoes and lock out the ankle. This is really important, okay? Don't lock here and then drive with the knee. I want you to lock out the ankle because we're trying to maximize the toe extension that we're getting, okay? We're trying to go through that terminal, we're trying to hit that terminal range of motion of the toes. And we're just going to hold that position there, get a little bit of a stretch going through the bottom of our foot. And then we're going to do the opposite. We're then going to turn them over, and then we're going to get a stretch going over the back of our foot, okay? Now, having good passive range is really important for injury prevention, okay? Now, if we're in jiu-jitsu or whatever it is, and we do go over our toes' ability to get into that full range of motion is going to prevent us from, it's going to be one of the key elements to us not getting injured, okay? So being able to have good toe passive range is really important. So we're just working on stretching the back of the foot and then stretching the bottom of the foot. That's all I want you to do. So we're going full toe extension and then full toe flexion, okay? And make sure that you don't just focus on one or two of the toes, okay? Some of you might have a tendency to go out here, or some of you may have a tendency to work out here. Make sure you're hitting all 5 of the toes. It's really important. So when you get to here, you can just roll the ankle from side to side, just to make sure you're getting all of them, and then do exactly the same when you're in toe extension. So you're just rolling again from little toe all the way up to the big toe. And when we're doing that, if I get Mick to do it over here with me, I'm make sure that we're hitting up that ball of the foot as well. Okay, so you want the ball of the foot in contact with the floor as well as the toes, and it's just going to move back and forth that whole direction. We're just rolling literally from here to here the whole time, whilst keeping those toes in that full range, in that terminal range. This is one of my favourite toe drills. Okay, we're going to start off with having all 5 of our toes in extension. Now, this one is tricky, alright? We're going to start off with just placing the 4 toes down on the floor and leaving the big toe up. Mick's got that down. Yeah, nice dude. Now here comes the really tricky part. Keep the 4 toes up, and then just the big toe goes down. Just the big toe goes down. It's tricky.
That's really
okay?
hard.
It is very, very tricky. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to support mixed toes here, so he doesn't have to press down with here. I just want him to be able to dissociate these 4 toes from this one, okay? That's it. Good. Now I'm going to keep this toe pinned here, Mick. All I want you to do is lift your 4 toes off of my hand. Lift them off the hand, but keep that toe there. Now, feel what that feels like. Good. Now, not from lifting from here. Lift from these ones. Good. That's it, that's it, that's it. Hold there. Now try and do it on your own. Good, so we're getting somewhere. It's tricky, and it does take a lot of practice. It does take a lot of practice, but it's really, really important to be able to get your big toes down and then just get your little toes down, okay? They do work differently, okay? The big toes can do stuff on their own, so to be able to control them is really, really useful, okay? To be able to have strength just in that big toe and not having to have the whole toe work as a unit is important. You know, sometimes we're on one toe and we need to be able to have strength in that big toe, okay? We're not always going to have the support of these, and if we aren't able to control that very well, it's going to be difficult for us to drive off that toe without having to use any other structure to be able to compensate for it. So, go back to the drill. Lifting all 5 up, 4 down, leave 1 up. That's probably the easiest one. Agreed?
Agreed, I got that.
And then comes the tricky one. 4 toes stay up, and then big toe down. Now, I really struggle with that on my left foot, but my right foot seems to be doing all right with it. So just play with it. 4 toes down, 1 stays up, then reverse it. 1 toe down, the other 4 stay up, and then we're just going to move it back and forth, and you can get really tricky. And it's a really, really great way to just get the foot, just to wake up the foot. I mean, your foot's always active, but it can be more active, right? It can be more optimally, primed, okay? And that's all we're doing. We're just making sure that the foot is doing what it's meant to be doing, and we're getting good control over it. So we're now going to work on some articulations of the ankle. So we've primed our toes. Now our toes and our ankle have to work together. It's really, really important, okay? If our toes aren't doing what they're meant to be doing, something else is going to have to compensate. So we've primed the toes now, we've got those active. That's going to help to give us a good stable support, a good stable base of support for our ankle to be able to work off of. Now I might have to use Mick to hold me up for a second, and you might need to do this by holding a wall or whatever it is. I want you to get up into full toe extension and full plantar flexion of the foot. So we're really trying to lock the ankle out here. If you find that you're getting to here and you struggle, maybe go back to the foam rolling a little bit, then stretch it out a little bit, and then stretch out this way a little bit, and then come back to it, okay? So just down-regulate some of the tension that you've got in there. If there's something structural going on in there, you might need to get it checked by a physio or by an osteo or whatever it is. But if you can do this, great, okay? And you might find that you just need a little bit of balance to help you get up into it. We're working off that full toe extension, exactly. And then from here, we can just work 1 foot at a time. We're going to collapse the ankle out to the side, get a stretch, but we're not just getting a passive stretch, okay? I'm trying to resist that at the same time. So we're going into this end range, and then I'm trying to resist it, okay? I'm creating tension in my ankle to resist the collapse, okay? It's really, really important not only to be able to have passive range of motion, but also to be able to control those end ranges of motion, because it is in those end ranges of motion when our capacity to be able to resist breaks down. That's when we get things like ankle snaps. So when we're getting ankle locked or whatever it is, being able to resist it is also going to buy us more time to be able to do whatever we need to do to get out of that position. So I don't just want to work on the passive flexibility, which is going to help to prevent us from, when we fall into it. But if we're getting ankle locked or whatever it is, or if we stumble, being able to have a strong, musculature or good musculature support, muscular support in and around the ankle is going to be really, really important. So we're going to go up into that full range. I'm just going to collapse one ankle out to the side and then to the inside, okay? And at the same time, I'm trying to create tension in my ankle and making sure that this is actually working. So just move from side to side and then heel down, heel up, heel down, heel up. So here, here. We're just taking our ankle through 4 ranges, and then you can work on circles as well. Make sure that the circle is also coming from the hip. Don't lock the hip out and then drive everything from the knee. This is another issue that a lot of grapplers get, is they get so tight in the hips that their knee has to do all of the movement for the hip. Okay, so when we're doing this, Mick, can I borrow you just to balance up on? So I'm going to get up here. Now I'm moving from the hip. Okay, the knee does move and it does get a little bit of this kind of valgus collapse here, and that's fine. But I want to make sure that the hip is doing the driving. I'm kind of collapsing out here, collapsing in here. Okay, so Mick, give that a go for me. Just going to hold up onto my shoulder here just for a little bit of balance, and then this way he can come up onto both toes. Just working on that full terminal range of motion, locking out here, collapsing to the inside, collapsing to the outside, but driven from the hip. Okay, don't lock the hip out and take it from the knee. Drive from the hip. Really, really important. Okay, and then he can come off onto both toes, and he can actually start to work them at the same time. So now he's going to take both of the heels over in that direction, collapse them to the side, best you can, use me as a base of support, and then ankles back over to me. And you probably find that stretching quite a lot. Yeah, stretching. It's also teaching the body to be able to be strong in those end ranges of motion, okay? So that anytime we stumble or whatever it is, we're prepared for it. Cool, heels down, and then all the way up. Heels down, all the way up. Now we're going to make circles, and again, take it from the hips and from the ankles. So, good, and then back over this way. So Mick's got loads better range of motion in his right ankle than he does in his left, and it might be because he's been footlocked like crazy on this one, or he's likely. You don't get to black belt without having screwed up joints. There, good. So if you find that one's a little bit stiffer than the other, just work on that one, okay? But different ranges of motion we're working. We're going plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, so lift your toes up at the same time. Then we're going to collapse to the outside and the inside on this leg, and then to the outside, and then you can work in circles. And it's a really, really nice drill to be able to stretch out the ankle and also build strength in those terminal ranges of motion. The last two exercises that I'm going to work on, we're going to be doing this squat here, and then we're also just going to be working some toe bouncing. Okay, so we're taking the joints through their full range of motion. We've down-regulated some of the unnecessary, some of the undesirable tension that the ankle musculature is holding. We've down-regulated some of that. We've taken it through full ranges of motion. We've got them warmed up. Now I want to make it a little bit more. I want to make the drills that we're doing a little bit more dynamic. So we're going to start off by locking out our ankles, and your objective is to maintain that. Okay, maintain your balance, keep your vision focused forward. Let your knees drive in front, hips stay on top of your heels, and squat down. Try and keep your ankles locked forward, and then balance down here. And then just keep looking forward. And if you want to, you can even collapse the ankles from side to side. If you want to just kick it up a notch and make little circles with them, and then squat back out. And then the last one that I want to do, I just want to make sure that the foot is reactive and primed, ready to do stuff. We're just going to do some bouncing, okay? And that's what I want you to do. Just get the ankles warm, make sure that they're able to react to that ground reaction force.